Alright guys, we're back with another waiver wire video so I can help you find the best and most important players to add to your teams. We have a great big list this week. I think probably one of the most underrated rookies in the league. A few pitchers I'm very excited about. A few more guys. But before we get into it quickly, if you're not already, please subscribe to the channel down below. Drop the video a like. Sound off in the comments. And remember, channel memberships are open if you guys want personalized advice about your fantasy teams. And shout out Prize Picks for sponsoring today's video. And if you guys are new here, this waiver wire video is a weekly series, and I always start it out with a big list of 5 players I do an in-depth player profile about, followed by breakout sections to help you in any kind of league you might play in, like a section for shallow leagues, a section for deep leagues, a section for players you should be stashing, whether they be in the minors or injured, a closer report to help you guys if you need saves, and at the end, a list of players that I think it's okay to drop. But all right, the first player on the big list this week is Bryce Eldridge, first baseman, kind of technically designated hitter on the Giants. And I really want to emphasize that I think right now, Eldridge is a priority add. This is one of the top prospects in baseball with some of the best raw power in the entire sport, who's finally worked his way into regular playing time. And he might be the kind of guy who can totally just shift your team or your league right now. There's that much talent here in Bryce Eldridge, and he's hitting well enough now. We're kind of getting a sense of it. But it has been a bit of a weird month for Eldridge since being called up from AAA. He didn't get regular playing time, and Tony Vitello, Giants manager, was kind of defiant that Eldridge wasn't there to be a consistent every single day player, which is why when he got called up, I put him on a big list, and a week later, I put him on my drop list because I was like, I don't know how you can roster this guy if he's not playing every day. But now he's getting that everyday playing time because both Elio Ramos and Harrison Bader are on the injured list for the Giants. That's pushed Casey Schmidt having an amazing season himself from the DH spot to a corner outfield spot. That's freed up DH every single day for Eldridge, and he is raking, really taking advantage of this opportunity. He's riding an 8-game hitting streak entering play on Saturday with an 1,100 OPS over the 2-ish weeks since he became a full-time starter. And even as I'm recording this, the Giants are destroying the Cubs 16-1. Eldridge already has 2 hits and 2 runs scored, so all of those stats are going to get even better. And I've talked a lot about Eldridge on this channel over the last 6 months or so. He was a rookie I was watching closely this season. Again, I featured him in a waiver wire video only about a month ago when he got called up, and that's because I'm just crazy in love with the tools. So this is a 21-year-old rookie right now who's going to play his entire season at 21 years old, who's always had some of the best raw power in all of the minor leagues, evidenced by these crazy exit velocities, his really high hard hit rates. He had a 460-foot home run last season. He was still just 20 years old in AA or AAA, wherever that may have happened. And while it did feel like he got rushed to the majors last season at 20 years old, he held his own to a relative degree. And now we're getting to a spot where he's getting a pretty legitimate batted ball sample so far this season at the major league level. He's almost at 60 batted balls. That's a magic number for us when we're trying to evaluate quality of contact metrics. And right now, Eldridge, again, right there, has some of the best quality of contact metrics in the entire league. Basically, no one in baseball right now hits the ball as hard and as consistently as Eldridge. On top of that, he's lifting and pulling it with ease, something that can be difficult for young players. And he has the plus bat speed to match all of that. And with the plus bat speed, he somehow doesn't have a really long swing, despite the fact that he's 6 feet 7 inches tall and looks like maybe he should be playing in the NBA Finals instead of on a baseball field. Also, on top of everything, strikeouts and swing and miss are something that probably will become a concern for Eldridge at some point this season. His strikeout rate was approaching 30% through the upper minors, but it's very in check right now, and he's walking a ton. Again, I think that will tick back up. He's a 40% whiff rate against breaking balls. I think you start to see a steady diet of them. But Bryce Eldridge right now is a game changer. Priority add. Huge player this week for you guys to take a look at. Now, quickly, before we get to the next player, a word from today's sponsor. Prize Picks is America's #1 sports picks app. And if you guys are not on Prize Picks yet, here's why you should be. First up, the app is super simple. You just pick more or less on a few player stats, lock your lineup, that's it, you're in. There's no complicated strategies, there's no confusing interfaces. It really is just you, your sports knowledge, and your picks. And guys, the NBA Finals. I'm entranced right now. Let's go Knicks. I nailed this great lineup from Game 2 on Friday night. I'm definitely going to play another lineup on Game 3 on Monday night. There's also so many great baseball lineups to build every single day. And if you guys want to keep up with me on the app, make sure you follow me and my username right down here. But the best part, if you're a new Prize Picks user, you can get $50 worth of lineup just for playing your first $5 lineup. All you have to do is download the Prize Picks app, and the link for that is in my description. Sign up with the code HMA. That's signing up with the promo code HMA when you download the app, and you guys are good to go. And Prize Picks is available in California, Florida, Texas, New York. Let's go Knicks. Let's go Knicks. So check it out. Use the promo code HMA. And please, guys, only play if you know you can do so responsibly. Next up, we have Cubs starting pitcher Ben Brown, who's had just a topsy-turvy last few years in the league, always had really fun stuff, big-time prospect pedigree, but could just never really get it right, whether it would have been in a starting role, in a relief role. He started that season in a multi-inning fireman relief role. But that's kind of just what happens with pitchers sometimes. It takes a little while to figure things out, to put everything together in the right way to actually be effective on a regular basis. And that's what's happening with Brown recently. He's been thrust into the Cubs rotation amidst all of their starting pitcher injuries that they have, and he's pitched great. He entered the rotation on May 8th, and since then, he started 5 games, got 26 total innings, 29 strikeouts, 7 walks, and a 1.73 ERA. And that's just before a home start against the Giants on Saturday, probably right as this video is coming out, which is funny. But I still wanted to talk about Brown here because, again, very impressive lately. As he's gone more and more times through the rotation, he's finally been fully built up. He's gone 6 and 7 innings in his last 2 starts, again, entering that one on Saturday. He's also thrown at least 80 pitches in 3 consecutive starts. He was a multi-inning reliever, as I said earlier this season, so this wasn't like the craziest transition, but he's done it really, really well. And the big reason why we've always liked Ben Brown is that the stuff is nasty. His fastball sits around 96 or 97 miles per hour, and it's stayed steady there since he stretched out, but it does have a bit of a dead zone shape. It's kind of empty velocity. It gets pelted, but the huge thing, probably to me the biggest reason why Brown has been able to take a huge step forward this year is adding a sinker two-seamer kind of thing into his repertoire. The pitch is legit plus with decent run on it, and again, also sitting around 97 miles per hour, and it's been his most thrown pitch against right-handed batters this season. They don't have a single extra base hit against it. They only have a 200 batting average. They can't square it up. It's a really, really effective pitch for him and something that's helped him take this next step forward. On top of that, his knuckle curve has always been his bread and butter. The pitch is diabolically nasty, nearly a 50% whiff rate overall. This is the whole thing that he has against left-handed batters, and it's good enough to get the job done. There's a changeup that's decent that he mixes in as well. I'm going to be paying attention over the next few weeks, but his four-seamer, like I said, dead zone, empty velo, gets pelted by lefties. Everything comes down to that knuckle curve. He has to command it. He's been commanding it recently. The sinker is a huge deal for him against the righties. I just think this is a really solid major league starting pitcher right now. There will be ebbs and flows because, again, that fastball is going to get pelted whenever he doesn't hit his spot with it, but Brown's going to have a lot of time to work out these kinks. The Cubs rotation is still nowhere near healthy. He's someone probably should have had in this big list over the last few weeks, but I didn't want to be any later. I'm looking to add Ben Brown in lots of 12-team leagues. Next up on the big list is Kobe Mayo, third baseman on the Orioles. And Mayo is a former top prospect who's had a really tough time finding his footing over the last few years, but now is pretty comfortable in a starting role. Still some ugly season-long stats like you guys can see above, but things are starting to look a bit better lately. He has nearly a 900 OPS over his last 2 weeks, also 2 home runs and 2 doubles over his last 7 games. Still some massive flaws on Kobe Mayo, like his swing and miss, just being completely out of control. 30% strikeout rate with a very high whiff rate, and neither of those are really getting any better as he's been on this hot streak, as you guys can see by these 2 rolling charts. But his raw power could be enough to carry him home. It really could. The bat speed's elite. The hard hit rate's elite. He's hitting the ball on average as hard as anybody in the league. His bat speed's even up a tick this season, which again, for a guy that really needs his power to be his carrying tool, why not just lean into it a little bit more? And I think that's what Mayo's done. Even better than his average exit velocity, as you guys saw in that StatCast screenshot before, his median 50th percentile exit velocity is one of the top in the league. His exit velocity and fly balls and line drives is also one of the best in the league. And on top of that, only 4 players have hit the ball harder than his 116.5 max exit velocity so far this season. He also pulls and lifts the ball a ton. This really should be a player who can access tons of game power, but I do get a little bit nervous on whether or not Mayo actually lifts the ball too much. When I see a 60% fly ball rate, that makes me think a player's batted ball distribution is like a little bit out of whack. You're losing a lot of base hits when you're just not hitting the ball on the ground as often, which is funny to say for a guy like Mayo, but again, that's why you have that 200 batting average, despite him hitting the ball as hard as he does. He's on here more of a spec ad and a guy I'm watching just because I love the pedigree and I love the physical tools, but I also really love the fact that he started 8 of 9 games for the Orioles, entering play on Saturday. I do like the fact he's been open about his emotions this year, kind of hitting rock bottom, using his dog to kind of get his way out of that in a really cute story. He's someone who's firmly on my radar, and if I'm desperate for corner infield help, I'm giving him a look in 12-team leagues, but definitely a watch list guy right now. Next up, we have another pitcher, Griffin Jax on the Rays. This is weird timing for Griffin Jax to be in the big list because he just got blown up by the Tigers in his most recent start, and the start before that, he left in like the 2nd or 3rd inning after getting hit in the back by a line drive. But I've still really liked the changes and the adjustments Griffin Jax has made, jumping back from the bullpen into the rotation for the Rays, and I'm really genuinely bullish about what he can do as a starter for the rest of the season. One of the big things that has stuck out to me is that how consistent Jax's stuff has stayed as he stretched out back into the rotation. Here are the game logs here via Fangraphs about Griffin Jax's velocity per pitch. Again, it's split based on when he started throwing at least 4 innings and outing again versus before when he was a reliever or only as an opener. Very consistent velocity there. I've also done the same game log chart here again via Fangraphs about Jax's stuff plus per pitch, per start since he started throwing 4 innings consistently. Very consistent across the board there, but that fastball stuff plus I want to call out right now is being really weighed by these last 2 outings when he hasn't pitched as deeply into those games. So something just to keep an eye on there. But now I want to look at how he's changed his approach against hitters from each side of the plate as he's gone from the bullpen back to the rotation. Starting out here with against right-handed batters, I drew a line right here so you guys can see when he began starting again. His sinker and sweeper are more than enough to get almost every single righty in the league out. In fact, Jack's sweeper has been one of the best pitches in baseball going on the last few years. And I do like that he's been a bit more comfortable recently, mixing in just a smattering of fastballs and changeups here and there, getting through the order a few more times, just giving them something else to think about. But again, sinker sweeper, Jax has no issue against righties. Lefties was what was going to be the concern because that sweeper will not perform and does not perform as well against left-handed batters. And I'm genuinely impressed. Again, here are his pitch percentages per game with the line drawn about when he came into the rotation. He's mixing everything up a lot, like a lot. When he first got back in the rotation, he was really leaning on that fastball, much more than he had out of the bullpen. Cutter as well. But more recently, Jax's changeup has been the star, and that's a legit nice pitch. It has put away potential. It's plus. That's the thing that's made me the most confident about Griffin Jax's ability going forward as a starting pitcher. I'm also keeping an eye on the curveball because he knows how to spin it from that sweeper, and that pitch has a nice movement profile. So maybe if he gets more comfortable with it, that becomes another big part of the repertoire. Suddenly, he has everything you need to get a lefty out as well. He basically does right now anyway. Bottom line, Jax has all the tools to be a successful starting pitcher. The Rays will always help with that as well. The swings and misses have finally come in the last few outings. I think it's a great time to add Jax, put him on your team, treat him as a streamer for the next few weeks, and if he gets a little bit more consistent, you might have a dude. Now, last up on the big list this week is Jake McCarthy, outfielder on the Colorado Rockies. But more so about McCarthy specifically, this is just for the Rockies, because the Rockies this week have 3 games at home in Coors Field, and then after that, they're going to Sacramento to face the Athletics. Sacramento is Coors Field light. It's as close to Coors Field as we have right now in Major League Baseball, and it's going to be even more hitter-friendly next weekend, because as you guys can see right here, it's going to be 1 million degrees. So we are streaming Rockies hitters this week. Woo! Stream Rockies week. We love streaming Rockies weeks. Usually we like to do it when they have 6 or 7 games in Coors Field, but this is the next best thing. So I wanted to shout out McCarthy because I think that he is the most fun or the best performing Rockies hitter right now, despite the fact that I don't really think much about his profile is sustainable. He doesn't hit the ball very hard at all. He does make a lot of contact that will stick, and that will always play in Coors Field. But look for McCarthy if you need an outfielder. Look for Tyler Freeman if you need an outfielder. Look for TJ Rumfield if you need a first baseman. Basically, if you have any position that's been unsteady for the last few weeks in your lineup, it's a good week to just grab any Rockies hitter off the waiver wire, plug and play them, enjoy 1 week of production, drop them next week, figure something else out. But this week, Rockies week. Now that's the end of the big list, but like I told you guys at the top, now we're going to have breakout sections to help you in any league you might be playing in, starting off with shallow leagues. These are players who are not rostered enough in ESPN-based leagues. Starting Shane McClanahan. How in the world is Shane McClanahan only 71% rostered? I'll be honest, I wasn't super into Shane McClanahan coming into the season. I was really reluctant about going in after all of the injuries he's had over the last few years. He's been phenomenal. The ERA is 2.5. The whip is around 1. He's getting swings and misses. The velocity's back. He's sensational. Same with Carlos Rodon, 62%. Carlos Rodon was one of the 10 most valuable pitchers in all of baseball last year. I know the fastball's lost velocity, but he's introduced a sinker. I know the slider's been a little bit less consistent or less dominant than it was back when, but still a great pitch. The changeup's a great pitch too. Why? Carlos Rodon should be a 90% rostered player. Same McClanahan. Jeremy Pena, 59%. I think he's flown under the radar a bit because he missed the first chunk of the season on the injured list. He's back to hitting lately. JJ Bleday. I'm going to talk about JJ Bleday in every single video until that roster rate is like 80-90% because all the guy does is rake. And now without Ellie De La Cruz, since he's got on the injured list, Bleday's moved up to number 2 in that lineup against righties. Great spot for him. Then we got a couple of star rookies, Peyton Tolley and Samuel Basallo. Tolley's like a top 25 pitcher in baseball, and Basallo right now looks like one of the best pure hitters in the sport. Basallo does platoon, so I get that. That hurts his value in 10-team leagues, but I don't know if you can find 10 catchers I want in my fantasy team more than Samuel Basallo right now. And then we got Jared Jones off the injured list last week. Just had a great start against the Astros. 19% is too low. Carson Bench is a 300 batting average since the beginning of May, hitting leadoff in front of Juan Soto every single day. That's worth it in every 12-team fantasy league. Then a pair of pitchers who continue to fly under the radar for some reason. Ryan Nelson just had a great 7-inning gem against the Dodgers on Thursday night. And Troy Melton. All Troy Melton does is go deeply into games. We haven't seen the swings and misses yet, but those are going to come. Melton has that. To every single 12-team league, Troy Melton has to be on a roster right now. Especially in ESPN leagues, when Melton's relief pitcher eligible, that's a cheat code. Speaking of relief pitchers, now we got the closer report. Wacky season for closers. Really has been all year. Lucas Erceg has imploded over the last week and a half. He's lost his closer role in Kansas City. They don't win many games, but Alex Lang has gotten their last 2 saves entering play on Friday. Jacob Blast continues to fly under the radar as a really, really, really useful closer for the Rangers, who has actually decent stuff despite only throwing 94 miles per hour. Josh Hader's back for the Astros. Astros. He pitched a decent inning when he came back, and the stuff looked good. When he was in the minor league, stuff looked bad, but stuff looked good in the major, so I guess we're back in on Josh Hader. Then to shout out two guys who have just really been steady over the last few weeks. Well, this guy the last few months, Brian Baker on the Rays, one of the most reliable closers in baseball. Great waiver wire pickup early in the season. Gregory Soto has snatched the closer job in Pittsburgh. He's been nice there for a month now. Then we still have this situation brewing in St. Louis between Riley O'Brien and George Soriano. Soriano doesn't have great stuff, but O'Brien has faltered a bit over the last few weeks. So if someone else is going to get saves, I think it will be Soriano. Then lastly, quick shout out to Clayton Beether. He is mostly the closer for the Nationals. Sometimes he's not, but I think he's their best reliever. And if I had to pick a guy on the Nationals to lead the team in saves by the end of the season, I would pick Beether. Next up, we have the stash list for either players that are injured or in the minor leagues. I think you guys should be keeping an eye on. Big one right now, huge one. Jason Dominguez. Sure, yeah, stash Jason Dominguez. All the jokes about Jason Dominguez. But he's already started the rehab assignment as he's recovered from his shoulder sprain that happened 2 days after he got called up a month ago? But Aaron Judge is out. Aaron Judge is going to be out for a while. The Yankees are being really weird about his condition. I don't think we see Aaron Judge before August at the earliest. So I think that Jason Dominguez, when he's ready to go in a week or so, he has full runway for 2 full months in the Yankees starting lineup every single day. I still believe in Jason Dominguez's talent. Maybe I shouldn't, but I definitely still do. Also, a few guys in the minor leagues who I think are going to get calls at some point, probably this season. Joshua Baez has crazy power, decent speed, but bad swing and miss, but he's one of the most high upside prospects in minor leagues right now. Kalen Culpepper, I put him on here a bunch. He's going to be a very good shortstop once he gets a call for the Twins. And need to keep calling out Kane Anderson because he is that dominant right now at AA for the Mariners, despite the team having too much pitching at the major league level. And then some pitchers, star pitchers, working their way back. Hunter Brown threw a rehab start in AAA. If someone in your league is sleeping, pick up Hunter Brown. Also, Hunter Green threw his first bullpen. We're still very far away from Hunter Green's return, but maybe we get mid to late July at this point since he's already throwing a bullpen. Then also Mick Abel's working his way back. He's coming on a rehab assignment. Hurston Waldrop's working his way back. He's on a rehab assignment. Those two guys, of course, so we don't really know exactly what they are as major league pitchers yet, so they're not really priority stashes, but if you have an empty IL spot, you might as well stash if you just have it. Also, I keep on shouting out Shane Rowan. I really wanted to put him on the big list this week, but his role is still just a little bit not secure in the Brewers rotation, but man, if this guy gets a shot to be unleashed as a full-time starter, I will be disgustingly in on Shane Rowan. Really love him as a pitcher. Also, just a quick shout-out, Corey Seager, Wyatt Langford, back for the Rangers this weekend. Now we have the deep league ads. Fat deep league list this week for you guys, starting out with a few exciting pitchers. Andrew Alvarez, Brandon Young, Anthony Kay. Anthony Kay and Young, I'm pretty sure, are pitching on Friday, so I don't want to do anything crazy, put them on the big list in case they get rocked, but both have been pitching really well recently. And Andrew Alvarez is now in the Nationals rotation. Lefty with a nasty hook. Then we have Chase Mydroth and Tristan Peters from the White Sox. Just guys who are roster oatmeal play every day. I like Mydroth as a hitter more than Peters. Peters is a great defender in center field, though, so he's never leaving that lineup. Also, Nick Gonzalez and Colton Cowser have been very hot lately. Nothing super discernible about their profiles that would tell me this is a huge breakout, but again, deep league guys who can plug and play. Jock Peterson's been red hot again, too, as a strong side platoon DH in Texas. Sean Manaea, definitely keep an eye on Sean Manaea right now. His velocity is back. He's back in the Mets rotation. He looked really, really good in his bulk relief appearance against the Mariners on Monday. Big test for him this weekend against the Padres. Big test because I don't want him to pitch poorly against the Padres lineup. That's the worst in baseball besides the Mets, but definitely keeping a strong eye on Sean Manaea right now. Edwin Arroyo and Noelvi Marte recently recalled by the Reds as they dealt with some injuries. But the thing about Edwin Arroyo is that even though they called him up, Matt McClain is still starting most of the time for Ellie De La Cruz at shortstop. So just wanted to shout him out here. And Noelvi Marte, we've always loved the tools, but he hasn't really made any meaningful changes. So I think we're going to see still really good power, but really bad swing and miss. Anthony Volpe and Jose Caballero, without Judge now for a long time with the Yankees, and until Dominguez comes back, there's runway for both of those guys to play every day, and they're basically going to just fight it out, see who's going to be the shortstop on that club. I really like Walbert Urena still. He's been the deep league ads every single week. I think he even got, I don't know if he got to the big list yet, but he'll get on the big list at some point. Great power change, consistency growing with a sweeper, and really good velocity on a fastball. And then journeyman Wade Meckler is just crushing the ball right now for the Angels. It's probably not going to last, but I mean, if you're in a really deep league, you ride the hot hand. Similarly, Jorge Mateo has come out of nowhere to get the Braves devil magic and play the best ball of his career. 30 years old, he's actually hitting it hard. Still one of the fastest guys in the sport. Again, I guess you just ride the hot hand with Jorge Mateo while he has that Braves devil magic. Noah Cameron has also turned it around nicely for the Royals of late. Yohendrick Pinago is still playing mostly every day for the Blue Jays. Good bat to ball and decent power, but they're getting healthier, so he might get boxed out soon. Andy Rodriguez has really grabbed a good chunk of the Pirates catcher role lately. Exciting tools, former top prospect. If he plays well consistently, could work himself into a deep league at some point. Jake Bennett being recalled from the Red Sox. I think he's getting a spot start, but keep an eye on that. Tyler Phillips is stretching out, has decent stuff. Good slider going from the Marlins bullpen to their rotation. I also just want to put opinion, Roki Sasaki. It's been better lately. He has a start against the Angels that really could kind of start the momentum for Roki back in the right direction. So keep an eye on Roki Sasaki moving forward here. And then to close out, we have the drop list. I've given you guys so many players to add. I have to give you some to drop. Moises Ballesteros, after that amazing first 3 weeks of the season, has been horrifically bad. He might get sent down by the Cubs soon. Zach Gallen stinks. Kind of an easy schedule coming up, but man, that guy stinks. Tony Santillan has not been able to grab the Reds closer role. In fact, he gets bombed every time he comes to the mound. Steven Kwan is definitely a drop right now in our more shallow leagues. Even like a 12-team league, I'd be really comfortable dropping Steven Kwan. He's had nothing this year. Andrew Painter, despite all of the adjustments that he's made, I don't think 2026 is going to be a year where we see Andrew Painter find any consistency whatsoever. Then two old guys who just seem to not have it anymore, Dansby Swanson, Salvador Perez. You can find way better guys at their positions. And then last up, Jacob Marcy. Similarly, I think he tried to make a lot of adjustments that just haven't really worked out. But that's another great waiver wire video in the books. Thank you guys so much for supporting the content. Thanks for all the support recently. I've tried lots of different kinds of videos on this channel lately, and you guys have liked basically all of them. So I think I'm going to keep leaning into some more general baseball content. I see other creators just do like an easy screen share and like do their all-star ballot. I might do that maybe this weekend, get you guys a quick video. And I'm also trying to get my next batch of starting pitcher rankings up hopefully by next week, maybe late next week, but just keep an eye out for those, probably coming next week. But again, thank you guys so much. I'll see you next time.